Hello everyone and welcome back to another OPTC quiz video. Today we're back for a new video. We're going to talk about all the information that just dropped alongside the announcement of treasure map for April against Vegapunk. So for this treasure map, we have a new treasure map legend, Borsellino, when he's making the call to Sakazuki and he gets all emotional about killing Vegapunk. So this character has been made into a legend, which we will talk about in the video, alongside the true treasure map rare recruits, Sakazuki himself, and Sentomaru. Both of these characters have incredible kits, amazing support abilities, and a lot of them actually have synergy with the sword batch that we can talk about, the 5 elders. So let's get straight into it. I'm going to talk about the regular abilities, which parts have the best legends. So every information about this treasure map will be in the video. I will have a separate video up for teams, of course, without any of the new batch. So let's get straight into it. First, let's talk about Borsellino himself. So the banners are going to start rolling out in about 22 hours, basically a day after recording this. So the 10th of April, 1900 PST, part 1 comes out. A day after that, part 2, and the day after that, part 3. First, let's take a look at the legends that are going to be available. So as usual, every part is going to have a 30 gem multi, upon which doing you get a 5 Rainbow Tavern Medal cashback. So essentially only 25 Rainbow Tavern Medals or Rainbow Gems for a multi. So very good deal. Do at least the discount multis. Even then, you might want to hold off since anniversary is literally next month. In exactly a month, we're going to have the anniversary character info. So might want to hold off on this, especially since the new Kizaru himself isn't actually the greatest character. He has potential, but I don't think he's going to be used all too much. But on part 1 here, of course, we have 30 legends instead of the 20 on the other parts. So rate boosted characters: Tashigi, Borsellino, Kizaru, Morley, and Frankie. If I'm being honest here, the only great character here is Karasu and Morley, and arguably the new Kizaru. This character, Tashigi, she's only good as a support character. This Frankie, he's just very annoying to use. To get all the turns of the enemy buff reduction, you have to use his special and his super type. His special only reduces 4 turns, so he's not a very good character in my opinion. I see a lot of people glazing him, but I've just never found him to be too useful when team building. Besides that, we have all these treasure map characters. Every treasure map character is available here, but I won't talk about every character individually. The rate boosted characters are most important. They have a really good rate. And in regular legends, we have Kuma, Yamato Otama, Vegapunk, Alba, Sanji, and 6-star Dex Lucci. Now, Dex Lucci is only really used for Grand Voyage. Even in Rumble nowadays, he doesn't see as much play. This Kuma is really only good if you have the rare recruit strength kid Bonnie that comes alongside with him. Otherwise, he's a bit hard to use, and even then, I don't really use him at all. Yamato Otama, I think this character is pretty good, but I still haven't used them in a practical scenario. But on paper, they are pretty good character. Vegapunk, one of the worst releases in modern day. Alba is one of the best regular legends in the entire game, in my opinion. Such a good captain ability, 10 turns of bind and spear reduction. His special does a lot of things, providing things like Wonder Orbs, Tandem Orbs. He does a lot of different damage boosting effects. So I think Alba is a great pickup. Sanji, I really never use this guy. He's not a terrible character though. Part 1 is kind of mid overall in my opinion. Part 2, we have legends like Stussy and Kobe here. I think both of these characters are great, especially Stussy. If you have Lucci and Kaku treasure map legend, this character over here, if you have this guy, he synergizes so well with Stussy. So if you have him, then definitely go for part 2 if you don't have Stussy. She's a great character. We also have Brooke here, who I think is a great regular legend. God Valley Garp is still quite usable. This Bonnie's not terrible. This Mihawk has a great special. We know Usopp and Lilith is the best regular legend in the entire game. So part 2 definitely has a lot of value. This Sabo is a bit of a bum. He needs 5 rev army tag characters, just not practical whatsoever. We also have this Sengoku, who is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated legends in the game. Hachinosu Kuzan, this character is also really underrated in my opinion. A lot of great picks there. This Bonnie's great for co-op as well. Part 3, Moria should get a super evolution very soon. Even without the super evolution, I still think he's a usable character. Definitely on the lower end, but back in the day, he was one of the best legends in the entire game, and he should get his super evolution soon. So I'd look out for that. Jinbei is always good in super boss strength. We have other characters here. Sword unit is still not terrible if you don't have the Hibari legend from the recent Sugafest. Frankie's also great for super boss. If you get him and Jinbei, you are cooking. Figulin's not so good anymore, especially since we might get a old Figulin Garling legend very soon. Kuma, he's way better than the Vegapunk he came alongside with. He does reduce blow away by 4 turns, very unique. This Nami is pretty good. Mr. One is trash. The treasure map legends, Buggy is great. Kakuluchi is the best treasure map legend besides Nami and Karina, in my opinion. So it really is a toss-up. If you have a weak quick team for Super Boss and you must Kakuluchi and Buggy, Part 3 is definitely the best option. But also Part 2 has quite a bit of value. Do not pull Part 1, in my opinion, anyways. But let's talk about the characters themselves. This is, of course, what we're waiting for. So the new rare recruits and also Kizaru himself have amazing support abilities. Of course, let's talk about them. So new Kizaru, he is int/cerebral. It's been a while. The last like really memorable int/cerebral, in my opinion, is V2 Shanks. He came out like 7 years ago. We do not get a lot of int/cerebrals these days. We get a lot of int/cerebrals, but not in int/cerebrals. So this is pretty cool. I like this. So his captain ability, Tears for his friend. 20 turns of cooldown to himself. I mean, immediately he's a 14 turn cooldown unit. So that is a bit strange. Of course, they want to make way for people who don't have his limit break or his skill level up maxed, which is, I mean, no one is struggling for tomes nowadays to max out his skill level at least. But either way, he will be maxed at the start of the quest no matter what. int/cerebral and shooters get 5.25x attack, which is quite weak nowadays. 1.2x HP and recovery. Dex, int, and tandem counters matching. No recovery orbs, so take note of that. And then he removes his own bind completely. So this is great since he is a bind remover in his special. I hate it when characters have a utility for bind as a captain, but in their special, but they didn't reduce it on themselves. So this is great effect. And then the following effects are based on tags. If you have 3 or more 5 elders, Navy, or Vegapunk on the crew, so 2 excluding himself, so you can run him alongside 2 elders and you will be set. You get an extra 1.2x attack, which brings him up to about a 6.1x, I'm pretty sure, which is very, very good. And then also gives you 10 turns of utility for special limited debuff. So this is the debuff that only allows you to use, for instance, 2 specials in a turn. So I don't think this is a very good utility since there are potential abilities in the game to reduce this. And usually when we get it, it's only like 2 or 3 turns max. So I don't think this is very good, especially considering this is the utility for the character. Then you have 1 or more Vegapunk on the crew, boost Navy and World Government. So this is great. A lot of characters that you would think is the Navy tag are actually World Government only. So for instance, the 5 Elders, all the CP9 characters are on World Government, but not on Navy. So this is kind of umbrella. It covers all characters that are on the Navy side or World Government side. And then it boosts their base attack by 1000 in addition to a 6x captain ability. So yeah, he's very powerful. His multipliers can get very high. Base attack boost is way more significant than an extra 1.1x, for instance. This also does help specials that do a lot of damage. Base attack boost captain ability does make you deal a lot more damage with specials. So 1000 is quite substantial, very, very good. Especially considering most characters nowadays are about 3000 base attack if you don't have them maxed. So that's essentially an extra 1.3x base stats. Very good. If an attack or orb boost is used, gives you a 1.2x increase to that. Once again, if you do have those tags, I'm pretty sure. So that is, yeah, that's only if you have a Vegapunk on the crew. So I think this character is great. Of course, you do want to be using at least 1 Vegapunk and then another character that's either 5 Elders or Navy for him to be very good. He doesn't provide any cooldown to other characters besides himself in his captain ability. In his special and super type, however, he does provide a cooldown and also charges your switch effect and versus effect gauges. So his special, maxing out at 14 turns, gives you a 10 turn reduction in bind, 5 turn reduction on himself if he is a sailor. So yeah, it's a bit weird that there's not exactly 10 turns of reduction from the sailor, but it is 5 turns. It's still helpful. The remaining turns you can get around with support effects on himself. So 10 turns of bind, and then will increase the effect of existing increased damage taken on the enemy by 0.75. That's very substantial. Then we'll boost in slasher, cerebral, and shooter characters base attack by 1750, and then applies a minus 50% int resistance to all enemies for 1 turn. Remember, resistance down goes through all immunities, so this is an unblockable 1.5x extra damage that will stack upon all the other damage boosting effects. So this is really good. We are applying all the effects to the enemy that will increase the damage that they get taken. This is only to int characters though, so be very careful. A lot of his other kit works with just slasher, cerebral, or shooters, but for the resistance down, you want to be running mono int. So that's a bit annoying. Of course, it would be a bit overpowered if it was also to the classes, because resistance down does stack. If the enemy has resistance down to int, cerebral, and slasher, then that will get multiplied onto each other. So if this was in slasher and cerebral, then it will be possible for characters to get 1.5x, 1.5x, 1.5x stacked upon each other, which is way too overpowered. So I think this is great balance, but it's still a bit annoying regardless. If 3 or more 5 Elder tags, Navy tags, or Vegapunk tags are on the crew, or you have 5 or more Egghead Arc tags, so you do have a bit of leniency, one character cannot have the tag, and you'll still be fine. Then you get 2 turns of cooldown and 2 charges for your versus effect and switch effect gauges. So that's very nice, considering the fact that his captain doesn't provide that, and also he will be ready at the start of the quest to use his special. So you can pop this whenever you need it for that cooldown. And then additionally, he's going to give a 60% damage increase to the next final tap performed by an int character. So no matter who is your next final tap, so by final tap they mean all 5 of your characters attack, and then the 6th character will get an extra 60% damage if they are an int character. Even if they're not int, it will still count as the debuff and as the buff being used, and it will dissipate, because this buff, as you know, is not turn based. It's kind of similar to the hunger debuff. No matter how many turns pass, it is possible for the buff or debuff to linger. It only procs once you do hit a 6th tap on your character. So if you don't hit all of your taps, it's possible for you to keep this buff from stage 1 all the way to the final stage. And you can stack this by using more effects that have a similar effect. Only goes up to 200% max, but it still can get really good. Regardless, this is an extra 1.6x free damage that you can stack from multiple stages. It's very, very good. So he's providing a lot of niche damage boosting effects like resistance down, final tap buff. He's buffing increased damage taken by 0.75, which I think is the highest effect increase for increased damage taken in the entire game. The only problem is he's only providing utility in the form of bind reduction. Even the damage boosting effects he provides is not indirectly getting around a debuff. By that I mean a lot of the chain boundary or chain lockers in the game indirectly get around weak chain locks the enemy try to give you. There's none of that in this special. He does provide cooldown, but a lot of the stuff that he provides is locked behind tag requirements. So if you don't meet those tag requirements, he's really not doing much. This is kind of all he's doing. So his special is kind of mediocre in my opinion. His super type, when any 2 5 Elders or Navy or Vegapunk tags on the crew, or 5 Egghead Arcs, including Self. Not including Self. That's a bit annoying. They did decrease the requirement for the first condition. You only need 2 5 Elders or Navy or Vegapunk tags, because in his special it counted himself, so it was 3. But in the super type it doesn't count himself, so it's only 2. But for the Egghead Arc requirement, it still stays 5. It doesn't go down to 4. So If you are trying to get his super type, it's something to note that you will have to run a full team of Egghead Arctag characters. Not even one character cannot have it, unlike his special. So I do think that's a bit annoying. And it can be used when he's a crewmate, so that's very, very good. And remember, double characters do count as one. So this is a very important sentence because, for instance, Legend Memories Kuma from the New Year's batch, he didn't have this in his super type requirement. And because of that, Luffy and Bonnie alone procced his X super because he did require 2 characters. But since it didn't state that double characters count as one, Luffy and Bonnie alone proc that. But unfortunately, this character doesn't have that amazing ability. It will give you 2 turns of cooldown and 2 charges for your versus and switch effect gauges. So very similar to the special. If you use both of these effects, this character is actually a really good speed farming unit, giving 4 turns of cooldown and 4 charges for your versus and switch effect gauges. Besides that, he will provide a beneficial orb enable for Psy orbs for a turn, kind of random. And then provides a universal 2x orb boost for a turn that can be overridden. Okay, so that's about it. And then he's providing into super type, of course. So at the end of the day, this unit's a bit weird in my opinion. Like, you want to be running him on a mono int team because he's a super type unit. He only provides the resistance down and the final tap buff to int characters. But you can also use him with only slashers or only cerebrals, only shooters, because his captain ability does buff all of them. And so does his base attack boost, which is kind of the main damage boosting effect in his special. But at the end of the day, he's not providing much. Like, there's no utility here. As I said, this can be negated with potential abilities. The bind reduction alone is kind of not enough. None of the buffs he provides negates a debuff like chain minimum attack down or a weak chain lock. He's just not doing much. He provides a lot of cooldown, but even then you have to reach a very difficult tag requirement. So I do think at the end of the day he can be used, but you're not going to be using him a lot as a special nor as a captain. But what about as a support effect? So he's attaching to all, no, just Stella. So only the Stella Vegapunk, the main one. On the final stage, you get a 90% HP cut. This is great for characters that work with lower HPs as a captain, where you want to have a below a like 50% HP, for example. Also, the main reason you'd be using this is to actually get around the stun debuff. Of course, harming yourself does remove the stun, which is great. And then also give you a cerebral character base attack boost of 1000 for a turn at the start of the final battle. So yeah, this is a really good support effect, not only getting around stun but providing a massive base attack boost, the highest we've ever seen from a support effect, to cerebrals, which is the most, I would say, the strongest class nowadays. So yeah, this is really good. Very good support effect. I think he'll be used as a support effect more than as a sailor or as a captain. Sorry, Kizaru, you kind of got shafted. Yeah, there's too many strings attached for not much of a reward when it comes to this character. He's a bit too gimmicky in my opinion. He does have super tandem boost, of course, and crit. So any character that boosts crit effect as a special, we do have that buff in the game now, so he does provide benefit from that. Besides the bind reduction, what does his sailors do? He will give a base attack boost and make dex count as mashing. Sure, bro. What about his rumble stuff? He is a debuffer with a 154 defense, which is kind of low. His speed is 155. Okay. He is, of course, a 60 cost character, 55 cost character. So yeah, that already is not very good for him. He evades special bind. Okay, and then a 30% damage reduction from Psy. Since he's not a rumble character, he doesn't do more damage against Psy, he just takes less. Then his rumble ability is going to give cerebral class, navy tag, and world government tag teammates attack up level 6, speed up level 6, and then after getting action bind, okay, this is interesting, up to 2 times all enemies attack down level 4, recovery down level 4, and speed down level 4. Okay, this is the first unit in the game to do this. When receiving a debuff, yes, we've had, I'm pretty sure, passives that upon being CT delayed, then an action will occur. but we've never had when we get an actual debuff. Because CT delay, it's not really a debuff per se, it's more of just delaying your charge time. But this is an actual tangible debuff, action bind. When you get inflicted with that, up to 2 times in the adventure, you get those pretty decent debuffs inflicted to the enemy. And then when defeating enemy up to 1 time, self-attack down of level 5, defense down of level 5. Okay, so this is pretty canon. After defeating Vegapunk, he is pretty out of commission from Egghead. So the same applies to the Pirate Rumble match. He will be a lot weaker once you defeat an enemy. Now, this is not just when he's defeating an enemy. I'm pretty sure this is when any character dies on the enemy side, this will happen. So yeah, he's very temperamental. I'm not sure how good he'll be in Rumble, but he's very gimmicky here with this whole action bind stuff. If there are 1 or more Vegapunk enemies, self special CT speed up of level 10, and then when appearing on the field, self special CT 30% reduction. Wow, okay. And he's only 23 CT, so at the start of the quest, I mean, he's gonna be like 13 CT just with his own passive alone. Even more than that, because he has this massive special CT speed up level 10 buff. So yeah, if you only want to run this guy if there's a Vegapunk enemy. Of course, you probably want to be running this guy against the strength Vegapunk legend. I'm not sure how good that guy is in Rumble. I don't think he really is. But regardless, any Vegapunk that is on the enemy side, it doesn't have to be Stellar. It can be any Vegapunk, not just Stellar. So keep that in mind. Very interesting passive. I'm very interested to see how good this guy's gonna be, because he's a very like, he goes all in right at the start, but then the second an enemy dies, he's not going to be as good. I mean, he's not going to be completely out of commission. He'll just be activating his he'll be dealing less damage because he'll have attack down level 5, and he'll be able to take a lot more damage because of defense down of level 5. But that's quite interesting. If you're 1 or more Vegapunk enemy, targets Vegapunk enemy ignoring defense for attack times 5 damage. Wow, okay. Ignoring defense times 5, that is a lot of damage. That is very substantial. That'll kill them. Will get them very low HP. Target self for 100% chance of action bind for 10 seconds. So very similar to Jupiter. Targets 1 enemy with high current CT for special CT 50% delay. Wow. If 6 or more cerebral characters or 5 or more Navy or World Government tags on the crew. Targets enemies within large range for attack down level 5 for 30 seconds, speed down level 5 for 30, and also defense down level 5 for 30. So he's a great debuffer. But he's also debuffing himself. So like, I mean, you take some, you get some. I do think this character is interesting with that massive CT delay. Because, I mean, this 50%, that can delay the enemy's DPS, which gives you a massive opportunity to kill the enemy. So with this guy, you might actually be able to get like a very fast clear. I'm not sure what team he'll be used on. He's a slasher cerebral character, but he works with cerebral classes as well. So I mean, he's probably gonna go on the Nika team. Let's be real. Since they are very cerebral centric. I'm quite interested. I mean, he seems very good in Pirate Rumble. Don't quote me on anything. We'll see what, of course, Nydato says on his Rumble sheet. But first impressions, I mean, I think he's going to be used more in Rumble than in regular content. But then let's talk about Sakazuki, of course. He's applying Ignite for 2 turns, not 3 immunities. Special Bind by 6 turn. Okay. And then a 1.75x increased damage taken through only a regular immunity. So this is just immunity to all status effects. So I mean, it's very weirdly worded because a lot of the time they actually individually mention the immunities. They say ignoring immunity to status effects, ignoring immunity excluding certain status effects, and also ignoring immunity to increased damage taken. But I think recently they've also just started shortening it to just ignoring immunity to status effects. So I'm not 100% sure on whether or not this is only ignoring general immunity or if it's ignoring all types of it. So I'm not sure how good this is right now, but for now I'm just going to assume it goes through all immunities, so that's very good. And then also the special bind reduction. And of course, Ignite, even though it's not going through immunities, it will allow you to get around enemy resilience and also very low HP revives that the enemy has. And then if you have 3 or more Navy World Government tags on the crew, so 2 besides himself, gives the end of turn healing of 5k for 7 turns and boosts damage dealt to ignited enemies by 2.5x for a turn. So he's giving a self-proccing conditional. It would have been way better if he provided the conditional for the increased damage taken, since that's guaranteed to hit the enemy. Regardless, it is a self-proccing conditional boost. I think only in the situation where the enemy doesn't have immunity to ignite will this character be used. But in those circumstances, he's providing 2.5x from the conditional. He's providing a 1.75x increased damage taken unblockable. He's reducing special bind, which is one of the more annoying and common debuffs in the game, by 6 turns as well, which is very good. His requirement isn't that hard with the tags, and also the 7-turn end of healing buff. While it's not going to be healing you much, the main benefit that this provides is helping characters that require you to have a certain amount of end of turn healing. He is a Navy tag character who is a shooter, so he is going to synergize really well with the sword batch. If I can find them. Oh, no, they would have left by this time. But the Hibari legend and the Garp Kobe legend both work best when you have an end of turn healing buff of at least 5 turns, and he's providing a 7-turn buff. I think it would have been a lot better if he provided it for 8 turns. The reason I say that is because the legend Hibari that came out with Garp and Kobe, her super type extends end of turn healing buffs by 2 turns. And then in her special, she states that if you have an end of turn healing buff of 10 turns, she provides a massive multiplicative buff to your existing attack and all boosts. But that only works if you have a 10-turn end of healing buff. So it would have been really nice if this guy provided an 8-turn buff. Hibari super type extended it to 10 turns, and then you use her special. The problem is that you can just use this guy as a support effect instead. He is not only great for reducing special bind by 2 turns upon infliction. We have so few special bind supports in the game, and most of them only reduce special bind on the supported character. So this is such a good support ability just for the utility, but it also provides a 5-turn end of healing buff on the final stage, attaching to all Kizarus. Remember the Dex Kizaru that came out with the 11th anniversary? That guy is so good synergy with the sword batch, the Garp Kobe, and also the Hibari. If you run that Kizaru, he replaces the rare recruit Halmepo that came alongside them as the chain unit that provides chain boundary, chain growth rate, provides cooldown as well. He literally does all that Halmepo does, but better. So you run that deck shooter slash Kizaru with the sword batch to replace Halmepo. It improves the team significantly. And then you put this Kizaru, this Sakazuki on that Kizaru to provide end of turn healing buff of 5 turns, which will replace the Vice Admiral Dole rare recruit that came alongside the Garp Kobe and the Hibari. Because that Dole is the unit in the batch that's supposed to provide the end of turn healing buff. So running that Dex 11th anniversary Kizaru with the Sakazuki support replaces the roles of both the Halmepo and the Vice Admiral Dole on the sword team. So I think this support ability has such a massive potential, because remember, this provides the 5 turns, which is going to help Garp Kobe and Hibari immensely. Not as much as a 10-turn or 8-turn end of turn healing would, but this still is helping a lot for both of them, while providing immense special bind utility. So I think this is one of the best supports in the game right now, especially since it works so well with the sword team. As a special, I think he also has potential. He does reduce special bind by 6 turns as a sailor and make strength orbs counter matching for the entire crew. So yeah, I definitely think this guy has potential. Of course, no rumble abilities, and also he does have fear resistance, so that's very good. And of course, he does have barrier penetration. The Sentomaru, I think, is very, very good as well. As a support, as a special, I do think he also is really good. He provides a full board of int orbs through block. If you meet the tag requirement, he also gives adjacent characters recover orbs on top of that, which he does make matching as a sailor, which is so crucial. So many times when you're team building, it's easy to forget to use a ship or a captain ability to make recover counts beneficial. A lot of the time I just assume that we have a character or a captain or support ability, or a ship, to make recover counts as matching. I start the quest, I realize that they're type neutral, which is so annoying. So I do think this is super good that he does make them matching. Of course, the main benefit of providing up to 3 recovery orbs is that you can get around 3 hunger stacks and also recover a lot of HP to provide a way to a safety net for death hits. So I do think this is so good, on top of providing a full board of int orbs, which he will count as matching. No, he won't. That's actually kind of annoying. He doesn't make int orbs count as matching, so this would only be really that good on a full int team. If you don't have an orb boost, gives you a 2.75x orb boost for int power cerebral. If you do have an orb boost, a 2.5x attack boost for those classes and type. So this is very good versatility. It is only 5 turn utility, but regardless, it's all 3 of the big defensive effects, the ones that are most common anyways. This isn't as good as it used to be back in the day. This is the exact same utility that Bobbin has. He also provides orb manipulation similar to Bobbin. The problem is nowadays we have so many more captain abilities that bypass defensive effects, which will completely make the threshold and damage reduction ignorable. The defense up is still very helpful, but you can also get around defense up with like defense down, for instance. But if you aren't using one of those captain abilities, this is still very powerful, even if it's only 5 turns. So he's providing matching orbs, damage, utility that is very good, not only for enemy defensive effects, but also for crew debuffs by reducing hunger stacks with the recovery orbs indirectly. He is int power cerebral. He does resist blow away like most Sentomarus do, so that's pretty helpful. He makes recovery orbs matching for the entire crew. Only for int characters, but that's still pretty good. He makes quick orbs matching as well for int characters, so a lot of beneficial orb enable. Yeah, he's pretty good overall. I do think he would have been way better if his utility was for 6 turns for his enemy buff reduction. His support effect does attach to all strength and int type Vegapunk, Stellas, or Kizaru. So it's only the main Vegapunk, but it will reduce all the main 3 enemy buffs by a turn. This is very similar to the Lucky Roo and Yasap Quick Legend. This is a lot more versatile, I think, because we have a lot of good strength and int Borsalinos and Stellas. So yeah, this is a great support effect. Definitely will see play, especially since you have control over when it's activated, since it's upon use of the special. And there's no requirement of having to do a damage dealing special or anything stupid like that. So no strings attached. I think this is a very good character. I do think the Sakazuki is a bit better, but when it comes to this treasure map, I do think Sentomaru is better because of all the gimmicks that he gets around, but he's also a C chart card booster. So your nav levels will increase dramatically when using Sentomaru. Only thing Sakazuki does is provide more pistol card and a guaranteed chance of killing their mini bosses, which yes, it does provide a lot of points over time, but nowhere near as much as increasing the nav quickly with Sentomaru. Of course, Borsalino is going to buff your steering wheel cards by making them guaranteed, and that does help you a lot on the map, but I do think at the end of the day, Sentomaru is the most important booster. Finally, let's talk about the new 5+ of Lucci. This character, I think, is very good in Rumble, pretty good in regular content as well, and he has like a legend-worthy artwork. It's very, very good. So here he is. Look at that artwork, bro. It's so detailed, great perspective. Yeah, this is like, I would expect this from a legend, bro. Very, very good artwork for the 5+ anyways. The 5-star version as well, pretty good artwork. So his captain ability, yeah, it's still pretty shit. No utility, still very low multipliers. That's unfortunate. 2 turns of cooldown for powers and free spirit. I mean, just I'm gonna preface this. This guy is very similar to the new legend Borsellino. He's just kind of a watered down version of him. And you'll see what I mean. So first off, 2 turns of cooldown, only to powers of free spirit characters. No versus effect or switch effect gauges, so he's already a watered down version of Kizaru in that sense. Only cooldown and only to 2 classes. Then we'll reduce bind by 4 turns, also watered down version of Kizaru. Instead of 10 turns of bind reduction, only 4 turns of bind reduction. And he does not reduce bind in his sailor effect. He does, however, reduce special rewind, which Kizaru does not have, so that's definitely a point for this PK Lucci. He'll then provide a damage reduction based attack boost for powers and free spirit characters of 50% of the damage reduction effect. So with a 90% damage reduction, you'll have a 1.45x attack boost. Very similar to what they're talking about here. And then, just like Borsellino, is going to apply air resistance down to the enemy. Only minus 30%, which is a 1.3x damage increase for your characters. But it is now to all strength, dex, and int characters. So more characters get the effect, but it's a bit weaker. So I'd say they're both on a same level of how good they are. This one's more versatile, but Borsellino's is much more targeted and higher damage. Just 1.2x higher, but it's not that crazy. If 3 or more CB0, CP9, or world government tags on the crew, or 6 or more Eged Ox, or more, what do I mean, or more? There's only up to 6 characters on your crew. Eged Ox character tags on the crew. So you can see once again the tag requirements is also just a bit worse than Kizaru's. Kizaru only required 5, Lucci requires 6 Eged Ox tags. And although the tag amount for the other condition is the same as Borsellino, instead of Vegapunk and Navy, you have CP0 and CP9, which is kind of bad. I mean, all world government characters, all CP9 and CP0 tag characters will be world government. So this is literally pointless. Like, there's no point in having the CP9 and CP0 tag requirement there. All of them will be world government as well. I really don't see the point in that. Might as well just say if 3 or more world government tags on the crew, or 6 or more Eged Arc tags. Very pointless, but okay. I'm getting heated for no reason over this shit, bruh. Gives a dex territory on the crew of which is just a regular effect of a territory. 1.5x damage increase if you have 6 dex characters on the crew. And then also gives you reduced damage taken. The territory is only 1 turn. Remember, territories do carry over multiple stages. So if you apply a 3-turn territory on stage 4, it will last until the final stage. You can also stack up to 3 territories of different type. So if you run a Dex territory, a Slasher territory, and a Free Spirit territory, then Dex, Slasher, and Free Spirit characters will be so much benefited. Of course, they do have to be different territories. You can't stack 3 Dex territories. So this is very good. And then also provides a 80% damage reduction, which of course allows you to survive death hits, and also proc the damage reduction based attack boost, giving you a 1.4x damage increase. So yeah, very good utility in that sense, and also damage at the same time. Allows you to get around special rewind thanks to the Sailor ability getting around special rewind on himself. He provides damage in the forms of both the resistance, the territory, and also the damage reduction based attack boost. And he also provides a 4-turn bind reduction, which is very weak, but it's still utility nevertheless. And his cooldown will be 9 turns at the start of the quest thanks to his potential ability. So yeah, this Lucci is very good. He also gets the Auto Plus ability. On stage 5, you'll get the supported character activating their super effect. So very unique. Great that we're getting more of these. Yeah, so this Lucci I think is very good. Super evolution. Also because of his Rumble special. He now has 15 times spread damage within medium range. I mean, this guy is insane for a free-to-play character. And that's not just in Assault Rumble, that's just in Rumble in general. He is a 32 CT though, which is very high. Targets self for defense up of level 5 for 20 seconds. Of course, the spread damage within medium range only. But it's fine even if not a lot of enemies are targeted because of the range being small. the spread damage won't like suffer from that, because remember, spread damage adapts to how many enemies are targeted. So if you target 2 enemies, both of them will get 7.5 times his attack as damage dealt to them. And then Navy, World Government, and Zoan type teammates will get 500 HP per interval healing for 15 seconds. An interval is basically like every 1 or 2 seconds. It's essentially anytime like one of these happens. I don't think it needs him to attack. Anytime the character that has this buff does any type of action, it will proc that and count as an interval. So decent healing. And then also in Assault Rumble, he is going to get 4x his attack as damage to all enemies. So yeah, very good. Not in a range, just everyone gets that damage. And then also if the time is 50 seconds or less, so in the latter half of the battle, he gives himself attack up of level 10 for 30 seconds. So for the remainder of the battle, you're essentially going to have this, which is very, very good. And then his passive, Dex type and Free Spirit class, and Navy, World Government, and Zoan type tag characters get a defense up of level 5. When remaining time is 50 seconds or less, self attack up of level 8, speed up level 8, and then critical chance percent up of level 8. When appearing on the field, targets 2 enemies with high current CT for 20% delay. And then in Assault Rumble, gives himself HP up of level 6 and special CT speed up of level 3. So yeah, he's very good for delaying the enemy while simultaneously buffing himself. This only is during Assault Rumble, the CT and HP up buff for himself. But he's boosting so many characters. He goes on Dex teams, he goes on Free Spirit teams, he goes on Navy teams, he goes on World Government teams, and on Zoa type tag teams. Yeah, he works on a lot of different teams. So I think this guy's going to definitely see play in Assault Rumble. Not only for free-to-play Rumble teams, but for actual proper Rumble teams. I definitely see this guy being really, really good. Yeah, so much damage, the spread damage, and also this damage in Assault Rumble. He's healing, he's buffing himself. The problem is he's not providing much buff to other characters. He's providing this defense up of level 5 and then the interval healing. But when it comes to his own buffs, yeah, he's going to be very tanky. He's going to be dealing a lot of damage. Yes, his CT is a bit high. Of course, he does have resistance. If you do provide him the key, he'll be 20% damage taken reduced from quick enemies. And he does have an 80% chance to evade a recovery bind, which is kind of pointless, but who cares? At the end of the day, he is a free-to-play character. So I definitely see him seeing play, especially in Assault Rumble. Definitely super evolve him, not just for his regular abilities, but also in Assault Rumble. Just a few other things to note about this treasure map is that we have a lot of other free-to-play characters boosted, so keep a lookout for them. Make sure you farm them before treasure map starts. This treasure map is special. The rewards for points, cumulative score, goes up to 30 million this treasure map. So that's even better than the last treasure map, I'm pretty sure. So make sure you farm up to level to 30 million points, not only 10 million. But as I said before earlier, Sentomaru is the C-Chart card booster, making them 100% chance, also making better C-Chart cards appear. So make sure you pick him up for that navigation level, massive increase. Of course, the end of month batch are 1.4x boosters only. 1.35x batch are the half annie units. It's weird that where is Nushido versus Zoro? They're very low here. They're only 1.2x, even though they came out after Garp and Kobe and the I can't speak, and the Kusa and Blackbeard. It's very strange. I don't know why the first part of the half annie batch are higher boosted than the second part. That's very strange. I think it's because Zoro vs Nushido is too cracked, so everyone will just use him. Very strange. But as you can see, a lot of free-to-play characters boosted. Treasure map characters like Lucci and Shirahoshi. Shirahoshi's not very good. I doubt she'll be used. Clash. And I think this is treasure map Jumbe as well. PK Kuzan, this is a really good character. He will definitely see play. Kizuna Exchange Ivankov. Clash Senior Pink. Coliseum Mole. Arena Mihawk. These characters are pretty good. Not sure about Senior Pink. This Ivankov is also pretty good. So yeah, a lot of great characters for this treasure map. get team building. I will have teams up. But at the end of the day, thank you guys for watching. Tell me which of your characters do you think is the best from the new units that we're getting. The 5+ Lucci, the Borsellino, the Rare Recruit Akainu, or the new Sentomaru. Personally, I think the Sakazuki is the best character. That in my opinion will see so much play as a support, but also as a special. So yeah, very good characters. Borsellino in Pirate Rumble, I am very interested. He seems so fun, very gimmicky, but also just really good in general. A character can be gimmicky, but also just really good on paper. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see what Nydato says. But leave your thoughts in the comments. Tell me what you want to see going forward in the channel. Please provide any suggestions about my commentary, what you think I can analyze better next time. Of course, I am willing to improve these information type videos so that you guys can get the latest news as early as possible, but also in the most appealing and like efficient way possible. So I'm trying to convey the information very efficiently, but I mean, at the end of the day, this is a 4 to 5 minute video. You've seen the sunrise during the progression of this video. That's how long it's taken, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. I'm out.